So with mirroring the poses, I want everyone to be aware that there is a very handy little script that I have tacked onto the VFS animation shelf. So this script, all the scripts that are here are free, and I don't know if anyone has explored using them. There's also a document that explains what they are and what they do if you go into Maya scripts, etc., which is in our animation 2 folder. And there's a little PDF which explains, where did all these scripts come from. And I hope some of the links might be dead, but at least you can Google the name of the script and see who made the script, where I got it from. Like I think Creative Crash no longer exists. It was High-End 3D, then it became Creative Crash, and now it's back to being High-End 3D. So if you see any link that's Creative Crash, it's highendthreed.com. But the script should all be there. And an explanation of what they do, what the icon is, who made it, the link I could find in the script, right? So if you have any doubts what these things are, you can just go through the PDF and see where I grabbed these from. There's nothing magical about these. They just make animating in Maya a little bit more efficient, okay? So this script here, oh, nice, I closed it. This script here works entirely by right-click menu. And what makes mirroring poses such a frustrating thing is selecting things. So if I want to mirror, let's say this is the right arm, I'm going to grab the whole thing, but I'm going to start in a very specific order. I'm going to start at the top of the chain and then work my way down to the wrist. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And hopefully I got those all selected. Did I grab that one? Is it highlighted? Yeah. Sometimes it's tough to know. So what I'll do is I'll open up the dope sheet. Now the dope sheet is the graph editor without the graphs. So what I like about that is there's less detail. It's basically multiple timelines. It shows you a timeline for every control you select. So right now it shows that I have 4 things selected, which I should. But if I was to shift click this, is it really obvious to you that I deselected it? Or does it still look highlighted? Right? This is part of animating in Maya that's driven me crazy since day one, is like the interface, the way things light up. Can be very confusing, right? Especially if you're trying to make a selection of an eyeball, there could be 40 controls around that thing. And you don't know if you have them all selected. Well, at least here you can see the list. You can see that if I deselect this, it disappears. So at least I know I got 4 things. Yay. Now I can go here, right click, create set. Call this Norman. Right click, new selection, right arm, FK. So anytime I want the right arm, it will remember what I've selected, but also the order. It remembers that I grabbed the clavicle, shoulder, elbow, wrist. So if I go do the same thing on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, right click, new selection, left arm, FK, oops, FK. There we go. So I got the right arm and I got the left arm. And you can see the plus and minus. So if I click on this and then click on the plus button, now I've got all the arms selected. Right? So it's a very handy way to grab and isolate things. And I'll do the same thing with the legs, right? So with the legs, I have to think about what am I going to animate with the legs? It's probably just one control, right? Just this one. But I might also need the pull vector, right? Because if I'm moving that around, I probably have to mirror that too. So if I want to grab the right IK leg chain, I got to grab this and this, new selection, right IK leg. Then this one, right click, new selection, left IK leg. All right. Sometimes on the rig, again, this control and the hip control are right on top of each other. And if you're far away and you click on something, you may not click on what you thought you clicked on, and it might be frustrating. So what I would usually do is, well, I'm going to make a selection for the spine, and I'll start with the bottom, right, the parent, and work my way up the chain. And new selection, FK, spine. So if I want the spine, I got the spine. The isolated hip is pretty easy to find on its own, right? If I need it, I can go and grab it. But if I wanted to, I could add it to the spine if I wanted to mirror that as well, right? I could say, well, yeah, maybe I want to mirror this thing. I could go and add this. So if there's a control that you miss, you can just right click here and then choose add selected, and it will add that to your selection. What I'll also do usually is I'll make a selection which is the entire body. So I'll grab everything, but I don't want the main control. Deselect. So this is just all of the body controls. There's no facial controls, just all the body. And I can make a new selection. Body, all, no face. So with mixing and matching, I could start with the whole rig, and then I could deselect the spine and deselect the legs and deselect the arms. Right, so you can mix and match and build selections. So it's a very handy tool. It's very simple. There are other tools that are a little more sophisticated, but for right now, I'll use these. Right? And you'll run into the same thing if you wanted to mirror a hand pose. So if I went here, let's just see how well this works. If I just kind of grab this and go to base, mid, tip, and try to sort of create a pose. Let's see, there, back that off there. There. Let's say I wanted something that had a bit of a splay to it, and then I grab this, and I'll move that one. Let's skip the spread. Move that a little bit over, and stretch. Move that to the side. Maybe tip. There. Okay, and the base. One of the problems is if I just go and drag a box, right? Hit S and then copy this, and then go here and just drag a box, and then right click and go paste, is that sometimes it will work and a lot of times it won't. Looks like in this case, it kind of worked, but some rigs are very particular and they respect the order that you selected. So when you drag a box like this, even though you didn't mean to, it will just figure out from left to right, what do I cross, and it'll remember the order. So when you try to copy one hand pose to another, it may not. So I have the same pose now in 3 places, right? So it's the push-off pose, then here and here. So 1 and 17, they should be the same. And if they're not, I just have to figure out which one is correct. So I'll look at this one, I'll look at 17. It looks like 1 is correct. So I'll just grab everything, hit S, and then middle mouse drag, S, and hopefully all is good. Okay, 19, that's the same as well. So 9 is where I want to flip the pose. So all this work that I did now will hopefully pay off. So if I go and grab the right arm and then the left arm and then go copy and then deselect, then grab the left arm and then the right arm and right click and go paste, hopefully they'll invert. Now, it's not always perfect. Sometimes there are things that need to get flipped. It looks okay. It looks not too bad. If I sort of flip just the arms, it feels like they're doing the right thing. Okay, so I'll do the same thing. Right leg, left leg, copy, deselect, left leg, right click, paste. Okay, now here, what's happened is because we're going across the mirror, it looks like translate X needs to be flipped and also rotate Y. So there's 2 things that have to be flipped. So it's translate X and rotate Y. I'll go, but also make sure you have the right thing selected just for the feet here. And I'll go here, X times equals -1. And then the rotate Y times equals -1. That looks better, hopefully. But this one, I'm not sure if that one got keyed. Yeah, that one should be here. So what's that? Rotate Y, 2.09. And this one, yeah, that's negative. Oh, we're getting a bit of gimbal. That might be why. Okay, well, then I'm just going to manually do that one. Tick tock, tick tock. This one I got to flip. So that's X. And then the reason I grabbed the spine is I know the spine, all I want to do is just flip rotate x. I just got to go to x here and say times equals -1. And then hopefully I get everything flipped the right way. This one, sorry. There. Times equals -1. I just want to make sure. It looks like the pose has been mirrored pretty well. There. So that helps me at least get started. So having these selections can just make it a little bit faster to move things around. And it looks like frame 1 that got changed a little. So frame 17 and 1. 17 looks right. Copy that over there. Okay. So if I hit play, let's make sure that's playing back real time, right? It's just going from one pose to the next. Okay, remind me, Flora, where were we and what topics were we going to try and cover here?
You wanted to go over the head and the spine?
That's it, right. Okay. So that's working okay. One thing I will show again is just how to mirror things to the other side. So when you clean up one side of the body, you don't have to clean up the other side. What I would do is grab all the curves. You can check that I'm grabbing the stuff I'm supposed to. Sometimes when you turn on motion trails, it will override what you've selected. So I'm going to turn that off. Grab everything, go to my graph editor views and turn on show infinity. And then go curves, pre-infinity, cycle, curves, post-infinity, cycle. So what that means is now I can move curves around and slide them around. And they're going to just loop endlessly. And if I've cleaned up the right leg and I want that to be mirrored, so again, I would grab, if there's any movement on those pole vectors at all, I'm trying to see, is there any movement on those? Oh, wow, it's not playing anymore. What did I do? I broke my Maya, Flora. No!
Oh no.
It was just working.
It was. You do
Okay.
have caps on though.
Let's see, does that do anything? Caps lock off. Let me just pick a new perspective window. See if that plays. Nope. Bizarre. Let's try this. I switched it already. I don't know if it needs to be DG or parallel, if that makes any difference at all. Okay. Increment and save. New. Open. Open one more time. If not, I may have to close my, start again. Oh!
That's so weird.
The animation is there. All I did was loop the curves. Did I turn something off? I can still grab the curves. That's so weird. Okay.
If you scrub, it doesn't play either?
No.
No. It might be the viewport.
Let's see. Render a viewport. Anything I can do here? I can't change this. Let's see. What happens if I make a play blast? I just get one frame. Oh, bother. Let's just close mine and try one more time. Ah, dear, oh dear, dear. Is it there? Okay. Wunderbar. Okay. One more time, Maya. Sorry, everybody. It was working and then it didn't. Is my mouse still visible?
Yeah, I can still see it.
Okay, so
and it's playing fine.
That works. How about video? Let's see. Is that still working?
Yeah, it plays fine.
Okay. Weird. Okay. What about deadline? Am I on deadline? Ah, offline. Good. Okay. Let's see here. File. Open recent. Hello. Come on, Maya. Go. Open recent. Ah. Nope. That would really suck because I don't have time to do the whole demo again. Oh no.
That's so weird.
Because it's there. It's almost like it turned off everything, like all the animation is done.
Did you turn something off in the graph editor?
I don't know. Maybe. Curves. Did I? Oh, I muted everything.
There we go. Oh
How the hell did I mute everything? That's bizarre. What on earth? Curves mute, unmute?
There we go. Okay. Oh.
I must have hit some weird keyboard shortcut or just clicked on a button. Holy cow. Sorry, everybody. That was stupid. Okay. Where are we? One more time. Okay. So I'm going to grab this foot. I just wanted to check the pole vector and see is there anything moving there a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. So did I lose all the cycling? No, that. Okay. So I'm going to grab this foot and copy it and put it on this foot. So good ideas before you do a paste, of course, is to delete everything that's here, because you need a key to paste into, you need a frame. But if you paste things on top, Maya is very protective. So it will not overwrite data, it will just nudge it to a decimal. So you'll hang on to all the keys as decimals and then the new stuff that you paste. So just in terms of etiquette, what I do, and I'm going to copy and paste, I clean out that other foot so there's nothing left, and then I just paste it in. Okay, so it's going to do exactly the same thing, right? It's kind of fun, right? Skippity-doo-dah, skippity, but it's not going to work for our run cycle. So I have to do a couple things. I have to mirror some things. So X has got to be flipped. So again, flip X times equals -1. And the rotate Y has to point the other way. So same thing. Put that times equals -1. Did that even do anything? Didn't, did it? There. Close enough. And then I'll just delete all those other keys, except for those. Rotate, not X, but Y and Z. There. There. Okay, so now I've flipped it, hopefully, oops, in the right place, in the right direction. Oh, and I tilted Z. Okay, not exactly what I was hoping to do. Yeah, I can live with that. Just one more time. Delete. Paste. Okay. Now what I like to do is if I want to fix this, then I have to move this foot 8 frames out of phase with the other animation. So I would go grab all of the curves, everything, and then go to the frame box and say plus equals 8. Why 8? That's how many frames per step. That's half a cycle. And it's going to shove all the frames 8 frames over. So it's going to work, but the problem is that now I have part of my animation is not from 1 to 17. It's overlapping. So that gets messy to edit because then you're kind of going like 1.5 cycles instead of just dealing with 1. So one way to deal with this is instead of moving the frames around, what I like to do is this. I'll just put everything back to frame 1, is I will just copy this animation again and paste it at the end. So what I have now are 2 copies. I have 2 complete steps, but I'm only looking at 1. So I have twice the amount of stuff, and then I can slide twice amount around very easily and then just chop off the ends that I don't need. So instead of shoving things 8 frames to the right, I'm going to shove them 8 frames to the left. So I'm going to say minus equals 8. There. And you can see that now I have some stuff that falls outside of frame 1 and stuff that falls outside of 17. And I'm just going to hit play just to make sure that that's working properly. And yeah, I got to flip X, so that's in the wrong spot. So again, grab that. And 1. There. That works. And then I just have to go to that leg and just trim off the extra bits. So I don't need anything before frame 1, and I don't need anything after frame 17. There. Now I'm back to a nice, happy cycle. And I would do the same thing with the arms. Okay, so it's the exact same steps. I'm not going to repeat it. Once you clean up one arm and you're happy with it, then you would go and paste it to the other side. Watch out for mirroring things like rotation. Sometimes rotate X might go the wrong way. So if you copy one arm, it's turned this way, but if you paste it to the arm, instead of it turning in, it will turn out, right? So you have like this, then you have to go find that arm and say, I just have to flip that one rotation to bring it back into alignment. But it's much faster than just trying to go through and just write down all the decimals and numbers and try and match them manually. It just goes a lot quicker. All right, now with the spine, one of the things that's great about Norman, let me just make this a little smaller, is that you can turn on and off parts of the character. So when I go to the visibility, I'm going to turn off the arms. Okay, so I'll still see the controls moving, but what I want to focus on is the spine, right? And right now you can see the spine is not reacting at all. It's really, really stiff. It's not doing much with the up and down. The up and down, I would normally go and polish first before I start doing any edits. You can see one of the big problems with the curve is right here. The way that we go up has a little flat point. So that means as you go up, you're going to flatten out. You're going to slow down and then pick up speed. So what should be happening at the start and at the end is more like this, that they connect together. You see like the middle portion is fine, but the ends of the cycle don't have any curve to correct. What Maya will do is it will put it in a flat tangent by default. So that's a bit annoying. And then I'll just look and see if there's anything I can do here to sort of play with the up and down a little bit more. So you have two directions to go, up and down. And what I would try to do is favor one over the other. So with a character that's more heavy, I would try and have it feel a little bit more like a straight line going up. So if they were heavy, I'd make it feel kind of like a slow elevator up. And then when they got up, then when they fall, I would want to really caricature that. That would make it feel heavy, like a really strong thump. If they're much lighter, then what I would do is I would favor pushing off the ground a lot more. So you would go up into the air really quickly and kind of float there. And then on the way down, you would make that a little bit sharper. So I might do something like that, right? And what ends up happening is the curves, instead of looking kind of like the usual bell-shaped curve we're used to seeing in a lot of science and physics books, is it starts to look a bit more like a shark fin, right? So I hear animators saying, I'm going to do a little shark finning on these curves to make them a little bit more interesting. And what we'll look at is as soon as you get to the mirror, right? This is the mirror point here. This is exactly the same. Then technically, I could delete this side because we go up and down twice exactly the same way. The only thing I have to worry about is how do I get from one key to the next? And then again, I'm never one to trust mirroring and just looping. I would just copy and paste, and then I would put the points back. And of course, you're gonna run into issues. No big deal. All you have to do is just break the handles and then just go correct the curve. So hopefully what you feel is that they're jumping up a little bit more than they're jumping down. If it's hard to see, then you can always, you can always do a little bit of a silly test to see if it makes sense. I'm going to say times equals 2 there. Right, so I'm really having the character go up very high now. And hopefully what you feel is that the way down is a bit sharper than the way up. So we kind of go up and then down. So I'm trying to make this sort of a little bit straighter line and a little bit steeper. The more contrast you put in the animation, right, if it's too symmetric, you won't notice any difference. So if I can really push this thing like that, I'll do the same thing over there. And then this one, let me come over there and grab that, flatten that out a little bit, do the same thing here and break this one. Right, it starts to really look a little bit more like a shark fin, especially over here. I really like that one. And I might not be able to sustain that height. That might look a little silly, but if I'm happy with the low point, right, then all I have to do is come in here and grab the high point and kind of move it down. There'll be a point where you can't keep the curve as flat as you wanted. You have to kind of go back in, grab these and just adjust, right, to kind of change them all at once, make them similar. All right, so that's looking okay. Then what I'll do is I'll start working with a pass on, let's say I'm going to work on the rib cage. So I'll just look in the side view and see, well, what can I do here to make this a little more interesting? So pushing up. So if I push up, right, the spine's going back, right? So, okay, that makes sense. Then on the way down, what I might do is maybe straighten out a little bit. So it feels kind of like drag. And then here, when all of that weight slows down, I might compress even more, right? So I go from here right? So it just moves a little bit. That's this point here, down. And as we push up, yeah, and hopefully that's rotate Z. Again, I'll look at my graph, and I'm going to repeat the same pattern. When I get to here, it'll do the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll copy that chunk and then paste it in right here at this point. So I go grab that frame, go edit, paste, and I just have to worry about this. And again, grab both, adjust that, adjust that. So you can see now that's creating a little bit of movement on the head and neck. Can everyone see that when I hit the play button?
It plays fine for me.
Yeah, okay. So the head and neck are kind of going forward and back, so I'm kind of getting a little bit of flexing on the spine there, so a little bit of tension. But the problem is that when I do that, the head and neck, they kind of go a little farther forward. So what you could try to do is you could try to compensate for that by having the neck tighten up a little bit. And what I would do is just use what I'd already animated as kind of a starting point and say that has all the timing. If I go here, I already have a curve. And again, I would probably go clean this up a little bit. If I've got a curve that I like, I'll copy it and then I'll paste it into here. Right now, this has no rotation on it. I just got to make sure it's the right rotation. Is it Z? Yeah, it's Z. So then I just go to frame 1, delete this, and then go and do a paste. And then I have to see what it's going to do. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's just copying what the chest is doing. So it's going forward and back. So I probably have to flip this to do the opposite. So I just grab the whole curve and then say, times equals -1. So now what'll happen, I'm just gonna put it in straight lines, is the neck will go forward the same time as the chest goes backwards. So it's a lot more stable now. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, I can just go in and, I usually just worry about the high points and the low points. I'll just flatten those, and then I'll go in and see if Maya can help me with other stuff with auto tangent. Sometimes it's a bit of a pain on the first frame. I'd rather just do that manually. And it's up to you. Right now, the neck is feeling very straight, but I can just move this forward and back to kind of just change the general pose. And that helps. So I get a little bit of flexing going on there, but it's not so strong that it feels really loose and floppy. I can always exaggerate this. If I can't see it, then I can't understand what it is I'm trying to do. So again, every once in a while, let's go times equals, 5. Let's do something ridiculous, right? So at least now I can see it, right? And of course, this wouldn't make any sense. It's kind of cool though, but at least now I can see what it is that I'm doing. There's the flexibility. So sometimes it's so subtle, you feel like you're not doing anything, right? Because you get so caught up in just, I want this to be believable. It kind of loses the appeal. And I liked a little bit of that. So let's make this like 1.5, right? Let's just see if I can make this a little bit stronger. Times equals 1.5, just like 50% stronger. Yeah, I like that. And again, you could noodle this for a while. That's why a lot of times I don't even bother cleaning up the curves that much if I'm still figuring out the amount. I just want to make sure that everything is moving the way that I want. And it's a little bit of a wobble in there. Something's bugging me. It's a bit abrupt. Once I hit spline, then yeah, yuck. I have to go and deal with all this stuff. Clean that up, clean that up, clean that up. There. But it's so much easier when you can hide the arms, right? They're so distracting. Oh, what'd I do? There we go. Check the other side. That's looking good. Excellent. And I think I'm only using one control here. If you look at the spine, you can see that only one thing is rotating. It's very isolated. So what I would try to do is distribute this a little bit down the chain. So this rotate Y, is it? No, let's rotate. Yeah, that rotate Y. Am I getting the right one? Let's rotate X, sorry, there. That's looking, again, a little bit dodgy. So here, it's moving, but there's two things, this and this. So I haven't touched this one at all. This is staying the same. So what I might do is have it go more. So it's going to overshoot. And this is really flat and dull. This is just such a straight line. I'm going to play with that a little bit and say, let's ease out, then speed up, and then we go here. And then, of course, whatever I did here, that number has to show up on this side, but be the exact opposite. So I have to paste that in, put a minus sign, and then hopefully go through and do the same thing. Whenever something locks, it means that I must have copied and pasted a pose, but didn't think about fixing it. So again, I probably push this over on the other side. There we go. Oh my God, sorry, I keep hitting the wrong keyboard shortcut. Yeah. And what I like to do is, it's always the middle that you're trying to really crunch up your spacing. So I'd rather crush everything really close on this side, and then the same thing on the other side. I'll just sort of almost flatten everything. So it's going to be a really abrupt change when your spine fires, almost to the point where it'll almost feel like step mode, like you just hear click, click, click. So it's much faster. And then it's just trying to find a way to avoid it feeling like it pops too much. So that's looking good. That's looking good. If I like that, again, I would grab this curve and copy it, and then put it into a lower spine control as well. Make sure it's the same one, and just see what happens if I put the same kind of movement on there. And this is going to cause a lot of double rotations. Now we're going to really twist, right? And they move at the same time. But what's nice about this is you could actually have the two controls. Right now they're the same, right? They line up exactly the same. I could take one of these, maybe the lower one, and I could say, well, that one should be a little bit delayed. Maybe it should be happening maybe a little bit earlier. So I might slide it around like 1-2 frames, and to see what I get. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking to see, was it going to push the character more or less? And then I'll compare it with this one. And you can see that now they're doing very similar things, but they're a little offset from one another. Let me just play this a little more slowly. Yeah. So we can always experiment and see, what if I take one curve and move it forward? Does that work better? What if I take one curve and make it less, make it a little bit smaller, so that the lower spine doesn't move as much as the chest, just to make it feel like they're kind of doing similar things, but it's slightly different timings. If I look at the front, yeah, it's helping to loosen that up a little bit. I know it's hard to see, but I can see now the abdomen is loosening up. And I'll just go down the chain. If I like what this one is doing, then I might copy and paste this curve and then put it on this lower one, but I'm going to scale it way, way down. I don't want this to be taking the character and rotating them even further than what I've got. And paste. I'll make this really tiny. And again, I might maybe move this off a little bit. So now they're all doing slightly different things. I could even have this do the complete opposite. I could slide it so much that this one is doing the opposite of the chest, right? Let me just slow this down. I'm going to say playback speed. Where can I set this to half? I'm trying to remember, where is that button? That must be in the settings, right?
Yeah,
there.
I think yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. So I can set this to, oh, that's frame rate. No, playback speed.
If you right click, oh, there you go.
So I'm going to play this back, so hopefully you can see it a little bit slower. It'd be nice to even slow it down even more. Can I make it even slower? Nope. Other. Oh, there we go. Other speed. Let's try like 5.
There we go.
All right, so they're doing slightly different things, and I apologize. I know that bright gray makes this hard to see. Let me see if I turn off my plane. Where did I put it? Is it Alt-I or Control-I? Shift-I, right? There we go. Ah, wrong. This one. Shift-I. Nope. Why can't I grab the plane? Did I hide it? Nope, there we go, Shift-I.
It's Control H to hide it. If
That's what I'm doing. I'm running my undo. Control H. There we are. So hope you can see that I'm trying to get a little bit of a wave going through the spine, that not everything is timed exactly the same. And anything that clicks together, I'm going to be kind of really suspicious of. So those three controls should work against one another and kind of ripple through the spine. There we go. Oh, this is very hard to zoom out. And then for the head, I would do something similar, a little bit of a chin bob on the head. So again, you could just grab the up and down, right? That's the easiest thing. I know that the up and down relates to the rotation of the head. When I go up and down, that should influence how this thing rotates up and down. So I might go to this. Again, grab everything and delete. And paste. And it's very small. The rotations are very subtle. We don't see anything because 2 degrees, right? Or 0.1, it's really tiny. Say times equals 5. Oh, no, that's wrong. Times equals 5. There we go. So now I can see the head rotating. And it might be okay, but like what I want to show is that as I go down, I would like that. Yeah, that's good. But I don't like how much the chin is poking into the chest. So it's the low point, right? That's the part I don't like. So I would just use this and scale that way down. And just put everything to straight lines for now. And just say, okay, if I'm at this point, what do I have to do to fix that? If that looks better. And again, I might do a little bit of an offset. Maybe just like 1 frame. So it's not timed exactly the same as the hips, but it needs a little bit of time to catch up. So we're kind of going down. And then as we go up, maybe here, I think, yeah, maybe at this point we should be more like this. There. And I might decide to do something a little different and say, yeah, I really want to do that. And then I'll go to the other side and do the same thing with that point and say, well, okay, then if I did that on that frame, right, then frame 1 and the last frame should be the same as that one. Right, so I'm trying to snap the chin around right there. Let's put the playback speed back to real time. There. And that's still a lot of movement on the head. I'd probably scale this whole thing way down. Okay. Does that sort of make sense? I hope. We have to stop doing a demo. We got only like 25 minutes. So I want to go through and see what people did for the personality walk quickly. Now front view, it's annoying, but there's a lot of tilt that's going on with the head. So again, you have to figure out how can I compensate for that. And that's one thing I haven't touched yet, which is using twist and tilt, right? So the body will twist as well. So your chest will tilt in this axis as well. So it's not just level all the time. There's a bit more twisting. The other thing you could do would be to curve the neck and make it oppose the travel. So where you see the head goes off to the side, you say, well, at that point, that's my extreme. I'm going to have the neck compensate. So you kind of lock that in and say, okay, well, that's that value that kills that movement and keeps the head more stabilized. And then I just have to figure out, well, if that's frame 9, then 1 should be the same as 9, but just opposite sign, paste, flip. And then same thing for this one, paste and flip. And I'll just get rid of all the stuff in the middle. In this case, I'll let Maya kind of help me out the most. And that really did help take that out, right? So it's not the same. If I just delete this and make it 0, you see how much the head's really going side to side. But if I put that counter movement back in there, it really helps stabilize it a little bit more. Okay. Now, I'm not even worried about the arms. I wouldn't spend any time on the arms until you were done with all this. Hips, legs, torso, right? Then look and see what's going on with the head. And then there's still stuff you can do to edit this. If you want to have a little bit more fun with it, you can go and change the angle that the character is leaning forward or backward, right? So you can kind of have them really lean forward. You could have them really lean backward if you wanted. There we go. Okay. So a lot of fun stuff you can have happening on here. There we go. Attack of the very relaxed human beings. There. That's very, very anime. All you need is just somebody holding a sword back there, and then it's like, yeah, it's almost Samurai Jack, which is forbidden. You're not to do any samurai running with the sword behind them, okay? Just a basic run, okay?
Can't have a guy like military sprinting in with like a blocked in rifle and all that.
No, no, don't bother with the props. That'll cause just no end of headache. Just do the run. Okay.
Saddening, but also makes a lot of sense because
Yeah.
better.
It's a
thinking,
1 week assignment, so I
smarter,
don't want
harder.
anybody bogged down with, I don't know how to constrain this to this, and it's driving me bananas, and I can't move my rig. So yeah, just do the run. Okay. So that is due next week. There's no blocking. The whole thing is due next week. Okay. So you have to go at a bit of a sprint with this one.
Hey, Brett, do you want to go over the
Yes, I will.
personality walk cycles?
Nobody laughed at my terrible joke, Floor.
They're just really tired.
They're really tired. Nobody. It's just like I can hear the crickets. Did nobody like that joke? Go at a good sprint. It's a run cycle.
You said it last week.
I did.
You need new material.
Well, can't win them all. Let's have a look at the personality walk. As long as you go at a good pace, you'll be fine. Okay. And submissions. Where are we? Term 2. This is personality walk. Final. Very good. Details. And every time. Every time. Never remember. Frame height. Width.
Oh, did you make a new chapter for this recording?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll go here. Stop.